This year was filled with so much food and discoveries, and in this video I'm going to go through some of my favorite bites that I had in the Philippines in 2023, but first let's backtrack a little bit. What a crazy year. I feel like we finally found our pace and rhythm with featuring the Fat Kid Inside Studios. In fact, we published more than one video a day on Instagram and grew our community there to over 100,000 people and followers. On Facebook and YouTube, we did close to 70 million views, or a bit more than that, and we posted close to 240 long form videos, which is ridiculous. We never hit those kinds of numbers, and so thank you very much for all the support that you've shown us. You are the reason we keep going and just testing out different formats, from documentaries to hosted shows to non-hosted shows to cooking shows with different kinds of hosts. So we hope you continue to support our collective journey to try to just keep the conversation about Filipino food going globally. So the first compilation I want to show you is from a trip we did to Basilan. This felt like the feature in the Fat Kid Inside Studios of old, where we had to shoot with a very small and limited team. We were there for a few days to kind of just figure out different stories because the research we could do from Manila wasn't very conclusive, and we ended up getting a few videos that I really do like. They didn't necessarily do as well as our other provincial features, simply because a lot of people don't necessarily talk about Basilan in that particular cultural context, but we have some few gems in there that I hope you'll enjoy.
Beauty lies hidden, etched within the heart of the unknown. Unbridled by the skein of familiarity, your mind awakens and opens you up to wonders beyond the mundanities of well-trodden horizons. Have you seen it? That forgotten kingdom, bound by its secrets? These places, like fleeting moments of inspiration, unveil themselves to eager travelers. Here, it's there every day. To them, we are curious children asking the most basic questions, wide-eyed with expectations. The island of Basilan was long hidden behind the shroud of fear. Conquer it and you'll not only see a thriving community, but one that is eager to shine a light on their colorful history. Join us as we immerse ourselves through the light, fire, tapestry, music, and flavors that are truly Filipino. After arriving in Zamboanga and having our fill of sati, we make our way to Isabela City, the main point of entry into Basilan. It can be reached by speedboat or roro, and the journey will take about 90 minutes. The province of Basilan, just south of the coast of Zamboanga, sits above Sulu, and further down you'll find Tawi-Tawi. In 2019, the Bangsamoro plebiscite was held and called into existence the BARMM, a political structure that will allow more independence for the parts of Muslim Mindanao that have voted for it. The previous ARMM was said to be too dependent on Manila. However, certain cities were also given the chance to vote, and Isabela City voted against it. The city is seen as a melting pot of various cultures and is the most developed in the province, so we decided to use it as our home base for the duration of the trip. Basilan used to primarily be inhabited by the Yakan, one of the major indigenous Filipino ethno-linguistic groups in the Sulu archipelago, and one of the 13 Moro groups in the country. They were first branded Samayacas by the Spanish, the mountain dwellers. During these colonial times, the Spaniards eventually called them Yakan, a mispronunciation of the word Yakal. The name Basilan originated from two words, basi, meaning iron, and balani, magnate. The island is rich in natural resources, rubber, and palm trees. They have a rich culture tied to Islam and pre-colonial spirituality. Today, the island is inhabited by various groups both from the mainland and the Sulu archipelago, and there have been many intermarriages. However, people still proudly identify as Yakan, Sama, Tausug, or a mix of others.
Let's do this.
I'm so excited to be back here. I mean, in this area. These boats are super unique to Tawi-Tawi, Bongao, and Basilan. I just love seeing kind of like this traditional craftsmanship still really active. If you guys didn't watch the video, we actually raced in these boats. It was pretty crazy. Just by seeing these boats, you'll realize you are in a very different part of the country. The majority of the nation uses bangkas, but here you'll see massive varieties of lepas, vintas, bugo, and pelangs. Similar to boats you'll find in the greater area in Borneo or Brunei. Literally just arrived going straight into the mangroves. I was trying to understand what they were saying. So the languages and the dialects here are, people here are multilingual most of the time. You'll hear some Chabacano, you'll hear some Yakan, you'll hear some Tagalog from time to time. It's a really mixed bag, but from what I understand is the current's quite strong, so we're going inside the mangrove to try to find some fish, apparently. So we're looking for some seafood that they're going to show us how to cook later. And they were saying just go where the kids are, and that's where the fish are. So, but for now, it's just so peaceful and so beautiful in here. It's so clean. Like, I've been in mangroves before. I can actually see the bottom of it, which means the visibility is going to be really good. Look, hey, you can see them. They're all inside there. We made our way to Marang Marang to meet the people from the Sama Bangingi, originally from the island of the same name between Jolo and Basilan. At the height of the Sulu Sultanate, the Bangingi, along with the Iranun people, formed the bulk of the Sultan's navy, leading coastal raids against settlements in northern Philippines. They have a rich history of boat building and have long lived close to the water. Today, these traditions are mostly passed down orally, but not a lot has been documented. So the initial idea was for me to go spearfishing, or document it rather, but the tide is making that really hard, so we're just gonna go find some clams with the kids. I understand now why it's kids doing this, because these branches, some of them are dry, so with my weight, they might crack, but they're coming back this way, so I'll shoot them in a bit. So they're going to show us other clams. Right now what they're doing is they're using their feet to kind of feel in the mud and try to find little clams. So yeah, this is kind of like foraging at its best. This is where you don't want to get. I mean, it's deep, like my feet are in the mud talaga. Ito. There's no snakes here, no? There's no snakes here. After hanging out with the kids foraging for snails and imbao clams, we went further into the mangroves to meet the men in the community who are in charge of the fishing. They live in harmony with the ocean and over the centuries have developed various ways of catching seafood. Basilan has about 23 Brichurian crab species, and they showed us the traps that they use to gather them. The Sama indigenous groups are also known to be formidable spear fishermen and freedivers. From a young age, they start going into the water with rudimentary equipment and eventually develop the skills to stay underwater for impressive amounts of time. I am so out of practice when it comes to freediving. That was so cool. About an hour, almost 90 minutes in the water with them. My ears are screaming. That natural experience and that skill is just hard to beat. That was so cool. That was so fun. While we were diving, the women of the Marang Marang community were hard at work preparing the food. The Marang Marang Women's Association have become a vital part of the sustainable and inclusive tourism circuit of Isabela de Basilan. You can organize a visit to their community in a beautiful village seemingly hidden in the mangroves. Here you will see their traditional music, dances, weaving, and the feasts of flavors they churn out in the kitchen. One of the favorites is oko oko. The sea urchin is brushed, washed clean. Surgical precision is used in making sure you remove all the unwanted guts. Rice is then measured, washed, and flavored with onions, garlic, black pepper, and oil before being stuffed back in, before being steamed until cooked. Kakanin, wherever you are in the country, will always be a staple. So they showed us their version of a glutinous rice ball, cooked and flavored with ube, studded with sweetened coconut. Thanks for having me. Appreciate it. Oh my god, I love this. I'm gonna start with what I had kanina. So this is
Imbao.
imbao.
Yes.
This is the imbao, the clam. So we actually, with some of the kids, got that. There's a lot there, which means it took them a long time to actually find this, because it took me, 15 minutes to find one clam. This is cooked. I had it raw and it was really good, actually. What's this?
Lambi, sir.
Lambi.
Yeah.
How do you eat this?
You have to
Suck it?
Yeah.
So it's like the chupaculo of Santa Cruz?
Yeah.
Other side?
Yeah.
Ah. Is this the same as the chupaculo or different? That's the same. Okay.
Same, like relatives.
I've experience with this. So that's cooked with coconut, spices, garlic, ginger, right?
Yeah.
There you go, actually. This is the rice. Why is the rice yellow and black?
It was under cooked with burnt coconut.
Okay, I had burnt coconut.
Yeah.
So coconut oil, burnt coconut.
Yeah.
Really get a nice smoky flavor. That's really delicious. It's a good start. Crispy shrimp. Eat this whole, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Yum. Oh my god, Julius, you're gonna die. This is so good. Red eye crab. So these are caught in the boxes that we saw right outside. I don't know how to eat this, so you might have to demonstrate it for me.
From the back, this one. Oh.
This one?
Yeah, this is it.
Ah, okay.
Yeah.
And then it's just all of that, yeah?
Yes.
This is like Julius's dream. Fatty, earthy, slight bitterness to it, which is nice. I love how there's just such a massive coherence in terms of the flavors that are here. You have a bit of sweet, a little bit of tart, some spicy, lots of spices kind of going around. So it really, everything kind of complements each other, which is really important for me when eating, especially a spread of food. And it's really delicious. Thank you. It's so good. It's so good. Ah, sorry. Yes, this is okoy okoy. So same. Oko oko. Okay. And then how do you open this?
You have to, ano sir, whip it
Like an egg?
Just knock.
Knock knock.
Knock it everywhere, sir.
Okay. Glad to hear. There. What I love about this is just how pretty it looks once you remove everything. It's just so exciting. It's like opening a present. Two of my favorite things, sea urchin and rice. Much better than the ones we tried before. It's so important to get the cultural context first. We saw where a lot of these things were kind of harvested, and then we get to go here, see how it's cooked, prepared. It just kind of gives you a glimpse into how people are and how generous they are, especially with their time, with their food. And this is already such an amazing first meal to have here in Basilan. I couldn't be happier. Let's eat, everyone.
You take overnight, sir, to cook this one.
Overnight?
Yeah.
Really?
Overnight just to cook for you.
Yeah.
Oh, thank you so much.
Thank you, sir.
Thank
you
you.
for coming.
That's amazing.
They left their home with their husband.
Oh no.
Yeah.
Tell your
For you,
husbands.
sir, huh?
I'm sorry, husbands. Last little ball of goodness, the putli mandi. Look at this. It's just full of beautifully sweetened coconut. So good. If there's one thing you eat, it's that. It's delicious.
Existing na yung ano namin, yung organization namin. So since tinap po kami ng City Tourism Office para mag-serve po ng pagkain ng bisita, which is from the Region 9 po. So nag-serve kami dyan sa may floating cottage. Then parang na-identify nila na may potential po yung mga kababaihan namin, may kakayahan silang ilabas ang kanilang talento. Napakalaking halaga po ng suporta po ng LGU, ng Isabela de Basilan po. So, through Isabela City Tourism, we generate income. Tapos po, nakakatulong po kasi talaga to sa amin, lalong-lalo sa kabuhayan namin. Tapos, kung makikita nyo kasi yung marang-marang, napapalibutan siya ng bakawan. So, yung mga bakawan na yan po, yan po yung tumutugon sa pang-araw-araw na kailangan namin.
Expectations so far, absolutely flabbergasted. As usual, each time we come to this area of the Philippines, the generosity of the people, the kindness in terms of introducing us to their culture is always just overwhelming, which I think is amazing. Literally, we're here for lunch and it's like 15 people prepared food for us, which is crazy, right? And it's not something that happens all the time, obviously, but it just shows you how eager people are to share who they are, about where they live, what they catch, what they can find around their houses. And I think that's so important. I think it's a culture that is not celebrated enough. And that's what we're here to do, to celebrate it.
Yung dulang po, yun po ay ginagawa namin pag may wedding or sa Thanksgiving po. Naghanda po tulad po na sa mga graduation, yung graduation sa madrasa. Pag nag-graduate po yan sila, nagdudulang po yan sila. Ang mga ulam na nilalagay namin sa dulang, sample na po doon yung kapaya na sayul kapaya na tawag na pansit daw. Basta pag iyakan ng gumagawa, may anghang talaga siya. Nilalagyan talaga ng sili, yun po. Yung sunod, yung isda, yung tagal na po, yung gamit na yung may niyog po siya, yung niyog niya dapat hindi matigas. Tapos yung itlog, pang design na po yun sa dulang. Symbolic kasi yun daw yung itlog pag sa graduation yung ginagamit pang daw ng parang wealth or daw para maano talaga yung tuloy-tuloy yung blessing. Meron din po kami nilalagay na dessert, isa po doon yung panyam, decoration din yon doon sa dulang. Pag nag-celebrate po ganyan, tapos may dulang, may prayer, nagdudua po, hindi po yung tawag prayer, dua po yon. Nagdudua mo na nagte-thanks sa Allah, yung blessing na nangyari patulad ng graduation, na nagpapasalamat, parang ganun yon, nagpapasalamat. Dapat yon magkain sabay-sabay naman yon doon sa isang dulang na yon, sabay-sabay doon na yung kukuha. Walang plato-plato. Diyan po nagsasama-sama yung mga pamilya. Nagkikita-kita po. Pwede na po to, ganito. Tapos na next step na po tayo. Ilalagay po natin siya sa bandehado para for plating na po tayo. Yung first po yung ista na yung tawag sa amin pialam po. Ubus next dambwa raw. Yung fried fish. Tapos next kaliya kaliya. Tapos next, sayul kapayahin. Ang gulay na papaya, na pansit, na papaya. Next yung tagal na po, yung nalagay na tagal. Tapos yung next, yung sweet na jintan natin yung ilalagay. Yung next, na yung paglalagay ng panyam. May ginagawa po na paglalagyan ng design muna tayo para saan nilalagay yung panyam para hindi mag-mix yung lasa niya sa kanin. Maglalagay na tayo ng itlog. Yung itlog ilalagay natin sa stick, yung para design niya sa Kaya itutusok natin. Para may design. Pinaman siya. Sige. Si ampat pan niyan medyo.
Alhamdulillah, Rabbil alamin, Rahmanir-Rahim, Maliki yaumiddin, Iyyaka na'budu wa iyyaka nasta'in, ihdinas siratal mustaqim. Siratal ladzina an'amta 'alaihim ghairil maghdubi 'alaihim waladdallin. Amin. Alhamdulillah.
Dapat palangganas yung
Okay.
Bukas kanya.
Bismillah.
Bismillah.
Okay. Nandiyan ka na masahin. Wala.
Ngalan na niya. Tagal.
The grilled shrimp, really good. I'll try the chicken kalia now. The cassava really gives it a really great flavor. So this is probably our last meal here in Basilan, and such a fitting way to kind of close out our adventures. Seeing how it's all put together, the meaning behind it, I think is very special. Understanding the food, the culture that goes into the food that you're eating. It makes the experience just so much more special and meaningful. Everyone's so quiet.
Basilan is a particular province where the town of Isabela City is under the Zamboanga Peninsula region, yet still on Basilan Island. The capital of the Basilan region, however, is Lamitan City. This area opens you up to explore the rest of the island, where they have amazing treks, waterfalls, and mountains. While we didn't have much time to tour the whole of Basilan, we heard that the whole coast is really worth exploring. And if adventure travel is something that you have time for, you should take the time to visit the other parts of the region. Lamitan City has long been considered the home base of the Yakan, the original settlers of the island. So we headed to their market to taste some of their specialties. Watching these ladies make paniam and lokot-lokot was strangely calming. A dance of fire, oil, dough, and a delicate touch, like watching a rehearsed performance, experience taking the lead. Everyone was quiet, focused at the task at hand, creating beautiful shapes and timeless flavors. These are staples for dulangs or feasting platters, and it's great to see the creativity when it comes to customizing tools that are used to make these delicacies. Try the crescent moon. What was the name of this again?
Salibulan.
Salibulang. Okay. I've tried panyam before, but I've never had it fresh.
Oh.
Is it better when it's fresh? Kung
Yes, sir.
freshly cooked,
Yes.
sarap. Mas masarap.
Oh.
So the reason they rest it is really so you get that yung airiness.
Oh.
Tapos yung tao that makes this dapat serious, no? Bakit po?
Siya, para maganda ang kainin, sir.
Because you'll see, when they're making panyam, they're very serious and very quiet. It's a requirement for the dish. So they say if you're laughing or if you're making noise, correct, it won't look as pretty, it won't rise as much. So it's kind of like when you're making a French souffle. If you make too much noise in the kitchen, it's said to kind of go down in terms of airiness. This is very good. Sobrang sarap. Salamat. And then yung fresh ja was...
Dito, sir.
Okay. I want to try it fresh because I've never tried it fresh before. This is the freshly cooked jaw. So the one I've had before, drip dried, this looks really, I mean, it's still kind of warm in the hand, right?
Eh?
I don't know if you can hear that crunch, but really well made. And you think those patterns are random, but they're not. She's moving it in a specific way, back and forth, different designs, depending on how it's going to be folded. So it's actually very intricate. I actually really want to try to make one of these in the studio and see if we can actually do it. Wow.
Crunchy pa, sir.
Oh, super crunchy. This is honestly probably the best one I've had. But this panyam is out of its world. Crunchy sides, really soft, airy interior. Not cloyingly sweet. But lots of textures to play with. It's really great. So before, when you would eat jar panyam, it was considered kind of like a celebratory event. So it wouldn't be too easy to get. But the previous mayor here, I believe, in Lamitan City, decided that it's something that all Basileños should be able to have all the time. And so they kind of set up this strip where all these different stalls make both of these delicacies so people can have it at any time they want. And yeah, I think it's a great thing because it kind of just showcases it. They're all in one row here, so it really looks pretty and authentic. And it's delicious. In another part of the market, we heard of someone making something special with cassava.
Tapos namin ginaganito, sir, nililigid namin. Parang ganito, sir. Ganito po, sir. Isa. By step yan, sir. Dalawa. Tapos, ilikid na papunta ka nun, sir. Nahinay lang yan, sir. Tapos namin na ginaganyan, sir, nilalagay namin ng koko. Yan. Tapos, pinuputol namin ng slice. 1, 2. Okay. Done.
What I love about coming to the market, you always see kind of contraptions that you get extremely inspired by and kind of want to make at home. And their teapot coconut steamer there with the holes in the bottom looks absolutely ingenious to me to cook the cassava. So the cassava is literally just grated. I asked why it has kind of like a flavor sour profile, which we've had before in different renditions of this dish, and it's just because naturally here the cassava does have a little bit of sourness to it. I wonder if maybe just by making it sit a little bit also does that sourness kind of develop. Could be possible. Here, this is the first time I see this version of the dish kind of with muscovado sugar. When I first saw it, I thought it was sprinkled on top, but I was wrong. It's actually really mixed in with the cassava already, which is really cool. And I was told that this particular dish here, I mean, we've tried it before, right? It's really kind of tough and not extremely stretchy, so it's tough to kind of break. And I was told that some of the rebel fighters were actually using this as a belt, so that they didn't need to cook when they were out in the mountains, because if they cooked, they would be seen because of the fire and the smoke. So they would keep this around their trousers as a belt and then bring just some seasoning, and that would be the sustenance because it's very kind of heavy. So let's try first the special one. I mean, that's really, really heavy. That will last you a long, long time. I like that it was just called special and regular, to the addition of the coconut and the muscovado. And the muscovado does really give it a completely different flavor from a brown sugar, for example. Next here, they were telling me about this powder, which is incredibly flavorful. So and I'm definitely gonna be making this at home or trying to make it. It's dried out and toasted coconut, not burnt, toasted only. And then that is added with you'll see some dried chilies in there, some cooked chilies. You have some cooked down ginger, garlic, onions, sometimes some dried fish to give it that really umami flavor, or not, some MSG as well. And that's used as kind of like a seasoning for tons of dishes that they're actually presenting. As a dried seasoning, it is gorgeous. So I'm gonna try it kind of like those rebel fighters. I'm gonna put a bit of this on top of my dish, try it together. So it's spicy, gingery, garlicky. I mean, that on anything would be absolutely amazing. It's almost kind of like a curry spice powder. So this is definitely closer to what you would see in Malaysia and Indonesia in terms of toppings and spices, but it is very Filipino. So the food here today is not really easy to kind of determine whether it's tausug or yakan. Everything's kind of mixed nowadays. There's a lot of cross-culture happening. But I'm definitely going to bring this back with me in Manila, try to figure out how to remake it, and start using it absolutely everywhere. Sarap po. Where's the paper? It's good, man.
Seeing those videos makes me really want to go back to that region in general. The next thing I want to show you is kind of a combination of some of my favorite bites from all our eating guides around the different provinces of the country that we were able to visit this year.
Forget what you think you know. It's easy to fall into the patterns of what's been written and what is popular. But I believe that you should travel with exploration as your only purpose. We went to Baguio to tell the stories of its beautiful people, their life, their culture and traditions that have existed long before any of us did. We went in thinking we knew this creative city, not realizing how ignorant we were. This is a full documentary of everything we learned and everything we think you should know about the Philippines' favorite mountain city. Baguio is one of the most famous cities in the Philippines. It's dubbed the summer capital of the country and is a gateway into Benguet and the mountain province. It is by no means off the beaten path. I used to pass through it mostly to explore the Cordillera mountain range and the breathtaking beauty of the area, but more recently, I've lingered in the city and found a side of it that I never really saw before. Amongst its fast development, there is an unmistakable rhythm here, one that begs you to slow down and pay attention. Even though it probably looks very different than it did 20 years ago, there's a sense of nostalgia in the air, a tension that pulls it between the highly urbanized center that it is and the groundness of its history. The food we will eat and the people you will meet today are probably the best representation of that.
Baguio is a really strange city. It feels like it almost shouldn't be where it is. I mean, you're in the central of Baguio, it's really busy. Lots of traffic nowadays, lots of restaurants. Kind of feels like a city that you'd find anywhere else in the Philippines. What makes it really special is that it's really built on a mountain. Once you go a bit further out from the Baguio city central, you find places like this that are literally built on the cliff, and more businesses now are branching out into these kind of lesser known areas, lesser densely populated areas, and you get beautiful views. And finally, it starts really feeling like a special mountain town. And it does have kind of like this allure and magic that is hard to find anywhere else in the Philippines. No wonder why so many people decided to call this place home. And yeah, it's a strange one. Really one of the kind when you come to the Philippines.
The best way to get to know the culture of a city is through its food. A popular first stop for travelers and locals is Good Taste, for large portions at a really good value. But since the weather is starting to get nippy, we are headed to Luisa's to eat some Filipino Chinese food and hopefully find a guide to take us around.
Luisa's Cafe started around 1957, if I'm not mistaken. It was started by my grandfather and grandmother who migrated from China. I would say Luisa's Cafe's bestseller would be the noodles and our siopao. The noodles as well, we do it fresh every single day. It's a recipe from my grandfather way back in China.
Luisa's is one of the oldest restaurants in the city. It keeps a very simple and made fresh Chinese menu. When the temperature drops, it's the perfect place for a copious bowl of mami noodles. There's a reason that this restaurant is still here, often frequented by locals reminiscing on the old days.
I am so stuffed. This is kind of like the perfect either breakfast or dinner place. Luisa's is an institution for all the right reasons. It might seem strange to have like this amazing kind of field chai food here, but it makes a lot of sense. There was once kind of like a very big, thriving field chai community. Some noodles, pork fat, some chicharron, some pork, some dumplings. This looks like a really beautiful bowl of food. I'm just gonna sit down and enjoy this. Pork stomach, okay. Very clean. And that lining, gorgeous. This is legit a really good bowl of food. And these noodles are just so perfectly cooked and they taste so good. I just want to smash this. One of my favorite bites of food so far in Baguio. And I heard this is like a hotspot for a lot of journalists, so we're gonna go upstairs and see if anyone wants to talk to me and kind of shed some light as to why this is such an institution.
I would say the journalists, dito sila tumatambay kasi it's accessible in a sense. They're within the business district. One journalist will come, they'll tell stories, share their stories to the next journalist, and then eventually naging trend na siya.
So where are we headed now?
So we're going to Paulo's at Katipunan Cafe. We go up here.
Up here.
Yeah, that's the Katipunan. They used to have a store there, but it's closed right now.
Okay.
So we go up
What's
here.
this place called?
Katipunan.
So it is Katipunan.
Welcome
Thank you.
to Katipunan.
So I like that this place feels like a secret.
Yeah,
It feels like you need to know like where this is to be able to come here.
actually, this is known before actually, but until now, we just don't know why it's still a secret to most.
Yeah.
But actually, this area is known to be a meeting place of pocket miners, like
Okay.
mga minero.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then also the vegetable dealers.
And you've been in this location for how many years already?
Actually, my mother started here since 1970s.
Oh wow.
Yeah. We don't usually add some
Overly spicy
yeah.
stuff.
Yeah.
What we just do is boil them and then just what do you call it one? Gisa. Stir fry. And then just garnish. And that's
Okay.
all with the chili.
Yeah. Nice. Okay, so this feels like something that more people should kind of come know about and know of, right? Like, and I feel like this kind of food is what people now are looking for.
Probably early 70s to the 80s. That restaurants like this were Daimadasi.
Yeah.
But now they're the only restaurants that serves this kind of food here in this particular area in the city.
And how did you find this place, for example?
When you're out drinking the whole night, so you end up in the morning,
Yeah.
nursing a hangover. So the first thing you want to do is look for a place where they serve hot broth. This is the favorite.
I'm loving this, by the way. Yeah.
So
really good.
We normally have sumo or the pig snout. That's it.
And this is just boiled until it's like really tender.
All you have to
right?
do is just slice and then you serve yourself.
So you cut up
Yeah.
a piece,
Yeah. That's how it goes.
and here.
That's it.
That's it. Got that right.
Mhm.
Yes.
Yeah, that sauce really combines it. Well, yeah. Of pork also.
No.
Or beef.
Beef.
This is the cheeks, right?
Yeah.
Yeah,
We
that's
call
the
it ping ping tibaka.
Ping ping tibaka, so cheeks of the cow
Yeah.
also. Yeah, which are really tender, really fatty.
And this is the lengua, the dila.
That's really tasty.
Tinono.
You know, it's a grilled pork.
Really, yeah.
No, I feel like the food is I mean, it's like what you said,
That's good.
very simply seasoned, but so tasty. And very different from anything you'll find in Manila. Like, forget about it. You can't find a whole pig snout in any Manila restaurant. But I feel like that's what makes it special, right? And
It is.
it's nice to see places that still kind of stand behind their culture and behind the food that you guys grew up eating.
I always enjoy going to the Cavite City Market. It's well organized and showcases all the products in this area. Before meeting Ege, I never really thought of the idea of terroir in the Philippines. Terroir is the direct environment that influences agricultural products. To put it simply, the flavor of the ingredient is dictated by where they are made, and this is something that you can see put in display in the market.
So this is the Bacalao area.
This is actual bacalao.
Yeah, this is labahita. This is what they use for bacalao. You want to try it again?
Yeah, actually. Ige brought his own forks. So I had this before, but haven't had it again since we last came here.
Exactly.
This one's not made in Cavite City, right?
It's made in General Trias,
Yeah, so it's
where there's abundance of carabao, and they collect carabao's milk.
How far is that from here? 40 minutes?
About 40 minutes. Yeah. Hi, hello.
Hey, hi. I'm Erwan.
Like in the market, you can actually see the influence of Mexico.
Yeah.
So, of course, like in recent studies, you know, quesillo is not really Mexican, but they assume the name. But actually, it's a deeper, more ancient background because quesillo is also done in Sumatra.
Correct.
And, you know, like Sumatra was like part of the galleon trade,
Yeah.
you know. And then, of course, like you have tamales.
I mean, talking about Mexico,
So,
Ate Ellen brought us some tamales.
so Ate Ellen.
This is the same tamales we had last time.
Yes.
And then you weren't there. That was your house. Yeah.
Yeah, not there.
Well, it's nice to finally meet you.
Yes.
You can see the anato, achuete coming out.
Achuete, there's peanut, the gift of Central America.
Correct.
To the Philippines.
Wow. You eat it cold?
Yeah, you eat it cold.
Really?
Yeah. Or
Did we have it warm or cold last time?
it
Or
was
it depends?
newly cooked.
Ah.
With
I had no idea
pandesal.
you can actually have it cold.
Yes,
Oh,
you can.
okay.
Yeah, you can.
Still as good as ever. It's really good. What I love about this particular tamales is just the amount
The amount of peanut.
The amount of peanut that's
More
in it.
than the galapong.
Yes.
Because if you go to like Pampanga,
more
there's
rice.
more galapong
Correct.
than the palabok.
Yeah.
So
The palabok style of this is what I really enjoy.
The last time we were here, we went to Aling Ika's, a local giant in the market. She started selling bibikoy, a glutinous rice kakanin, which is like a mix of buchi and ginataang, before the Japanese occupation. When Aling Ika passed, her daughter Aling Lolet continued the legacy to everyone's delight. While Aling Ika's family decided to temporarily close the karinderia, we were lucky to be invited by one of her granddaughters, Nanay Raquel, to see how they make their iconic bibingkoy at home.
Kasi talaga to, recipe talaga ni Lola Ika. Yan ang binuhay sa amin ni Lola. Kasi sabi nila, legacy daw ni Lola Ika yung bibingkoy. Kahit sa City Hall, tinatawag kami ng mayor, bakit hindi niya pinagpatuloy ang paggawa ng bibingkoy? Kasi nga hinahanap-hanap ng tao daw yun, legacy. Tumutulong sa akin ang anak ko, saka yung apo ko. Yun, kami lang. Wala naman kami ibang katulong, kundi yun lang. Pagkatapos naman na magawa to, sinasalang ko na yan doon sa may baga para maluto siya. Lalagay na natin itong pinaka sa ibabaw. Parang lutong bibingka. Hindi kailangan maraming uling. Tatansyaanin mo na lang. Ikaw na bahala magtansya kung paano mag-ano ng baga. Kailangan parati mo sisilipin baka sunog na yung ibabaw. Tapos yung nakasalang na, gagawin ko naman yung sauce ng bibingkoy. Gagawa muna tayo ng bilo-bilo doon. Lagyan ng gata, yun na. Bago lagyan na ng langka at sagu. Ito yung galapong na pampalapot ng sauce. Lagyan natin. Hintayin natin sumubo para sabay-sabay na yan. Ngayon, malapot na itong sauce, lalagyan na natin itong sagot langka. Hintayin natin na maluto siya dyan.
Okay na. Luto na yung ibabaw eh. Luto na ang ibabaw. Pwede na yan. Kasi nasusulit na.
Sana matutunan nila para kahit man lang wala na yung lola ko, parang nabubuhay pa rin siya dahil sa legacy nitong bibingkoy. Yun na lang ang hangat ko sa kanila, na kahit kami ang mga naiwang apo, sila naman sana sumunod, yung kaapu-apuhan, sila naman sana ang gumawa ng bibingkoy.
For our next stop, Ige brought me to Melings, one of the family-run carinderias in the Cavite City Public Market.
So this is your typical carinderia fare. This is the noodle they use. It's extruded, steamed galapong.
Rice. So here we have, they called it malabon.
No, it's like actually pancit palabok.
Okay.
What's special about this is the noodles to this day is done fresh every morning. The sauce is made from pounded shrimp's head. You know, it's called dikdikin. You know? So the shrimp that you cannot like sell anymore.
You use for flavor.
I think the chicharon it's pork. Yeah. Try.
Very nice. These eateries here have been here
for a long time now.
Decades, right?
Yeah, decades. Like Aling Miling is actually related to Nyora Ika.
Okay.
They're like cousins, so you have like family-run carinderias here in Cavite. We'll go to another carinderia where they serve really, really good Caviteño fare.
By this point, I was stuffed, but Ige mentioned that we shouldn't leave without trying Pat's.
It has a mango jam.
Ooh,
so
nice.
It's a very Maria Y. Orosa. So it has that old school feel.
This reminds me of the cakes when I was young.
Exactly.
Grandma's house.
Exactly. So it remained for the last how many years?
So you say, because
ilang taon na tong Pats?
Naku!
Kasing tanda ni Aling Pat.
Hindi naman.
But Aling Pat would be 100 now, no?
Yeah.
Oh. 70s na, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, during the height of the American base. Sangley Point.
Yes.
What I love is that you walk past here, you think, okay, we're all used to local panaderias and stuff like that, but to find this is a really good cream puff.
Very sophisticated.
Yeah, very sophisticated.
It's a like in the French tradition of patisserie or boulangerie.
I love it. Any other day I would have walked past this place
and you wouldn't know.
Without having taken a second look.
Exactly.
So this is an awesome find.
Exactly.
Now let's try the ube ensaimada. So if you watch our previous video, you'll see that we actually talked about this style of ensaimada, which is kind of like the more original style from Spain that kind of inspired the smaller ensaimadas that we have here. Do you put cheese also? Yes, okay, cheese also.
Don't drop the cheese, remember the last
That's the best part, I know.
I was talking about Baloy's Ensaimada de Cavite, which was inspired by the original Ensaimada de Mallorca from Spain.
Soft, pillowy, sweet, buttery, and strings of cheese falling willfully down your chin. There is no greater pleasure than eating a freshly baked ensaimada. There are several theories regarding its true origins, and one traces it back to the Arabs, who were inhabitants of Majorca as early as 1109. Supporting this claim is the Arab word samin, which purportedly influenced the Majorcan word saim in ensaimada. Another theory points to the Majorcan ensaimada's Jewish origins. It was said that a Jewish confectioner gave a pastry called bolima to King James I of Aragon, who conquered Majorca. Also spiral like the ensaimada, it was said to symbolize long life and represent the divine union of the divine and the human. The Philippine ensaimadas that we know today originated from Majorca, Spain. Originally spelled ensaimada with an I, it was derived from the Majorcan word sem, which stood for pork lard, a key ingredient of the supposed original ensaimada. Back in the 17th century, the ensaimada was a celebratory pastry due to the tedious process behind it. Made of strong flour, water, sugar, eggs, mother dough, pork lard, and sugar, the Majorcan version is more bready and hardly as rich as the ensaimada that one would commonly find in Filipino bakeries. This is why our interest was piqued when we found a bakery that makes it closer to the traditional Majorcan way, but marries it with that unmistakable Filipino flavor we all grew up with. The owner's story, as we will soon discover, is layered and just as rich.
Ako si Antonio Baloy, ang nagsimula ng Baloy's Bake Shop, home of the Ensaimada de Cavite. Kasi I was an OFW, mayroon kami kasing biyahe, pag Mediterranean cruise, nakita ko tuwing nabalik yung aming mga pasahero, may bit-bit silang mga ensaimada na I got curious, I bought some and tasted some na realize ko, hindi pala original ang ensaimadang Filipino bread. It was brought by the Spanish. Yung original ensaimada de Mallorca kasi, it is meant to be shared. And the way they swirl it, para lang inarrange nila ng paikot, hindi siya binubuhol. I came along with this small little book na ang title niyan, Paano ba yung Maman, if I am not mistaken. Sabi niya, yung tanging paraan para ka umasenso is magnegosyo ka. Kasi ang desire ko talaga, since 21 years na akong nag-OFW, napagod na ako na yung ayoko nang iwan sila. Although it's a well-paying job, walang amount na pwede mong i-sacrifice. Iiwan mo yung kids. Mag-isa lang si Mrs. na magiging tatay at nanay at the same time. 21 years, imagine I was doing that. Tapos, nabasa ko yung sa Matthew 6:33, sabi niya, Seek ye first the kingdom of God and His righteousness, and all these things shall be added unto you. Kung nagawa ko na yung unang part, everything else will be added. And He never lies. He always tells the truth. Ako, asawa ko, we prayed together with my pastor. So lumabas sa vision, I was pulling this tray of bread na medyo sunog pa nga. Sabi nga niya, maraming imperfections. Pagbalik ko, bumili ako ng mga libro. I ordered Fundamentals of Baking. Pero nag-umpisa sa maliit na, wala pang 4 square meter na bakery na made of plywood. Hindi pa siya malakas, naisip ko, gawan siya ng packaging. Nakita ko nga sa Pamal de Mallorca, yung original na ensaimada is served on an octagon box na gantong kataas. And I remember my mom, sabi niya pa sa akin, bakit magkakahon ka? Isipin mo 45,000 yung kahon. Wala akong makitang regalo pag pupunta ako kay Mrs. Baliches. May bibisita sa akin galing friend sa barko. Wala akong maipuuwi, something that I can call my own. Tapos, andyan yung Cavite na word. So, if you're going to Manila, you're going to Bulacan, you have something that you can be proud of. Ito yung production area, tapos yung finishing area tawag namin. So, dalawang team. Isang production team, tapos isang finishing team. Dito namin, bali, ginagawa. I'm so thankful kay God, napakabuti niya. Kasi itong machines na to, 40 years old na mahigit. Pero it's been with us mga 10 to 12 years, no? We only use machine to incorporate all the ingredients. The rest is being made by hand. So pagkatapos niyan, dilipat niya yan from figura, we call it figura, yung i-divide siya into portions to sa desired naming weight. Ipa-flatten siya, then ito yung sikreto, yung margarine. Bali, yan yung nagpapalambot. That makes the difference. Yun ang nagpa-distinct sa ensaimada namin sa mostly karamihan. Every sequence or stage na ginagawa namin, nagre-rest siya ng konting minuto. Hindi na pupuwersa yung dough. We have 6 flavors. Classic, we have the ube, we have Bavarian, dulce de leche, makapuno, and then yung latest naming flavor is yung coco jam. Assuming naka-rest na siya ng maayos sa proofing boxes, yan na yung twirl na part. Nakaka-produce kami ng 800 to 1,000, sometimes a little over, every day. Wala kang bibilin sa Baloy's Bake Shop na tinapay na that is more than 24 hours. Kaya nga lagi siyang malambot, fresh, hindi siya matigas o hindi siya dried yung loob. Yung iba kasi cake textures, bubbly, airy, fluffy. Ito po, makikita mo yung strands ng fiber niya, tapos pag inamoy pa siya, maaalala mo talaga yung amoy ng classic na panaderia. Which is ganun naman talaga ang ensaymada na dinala ng Spanish from Palma de Mallorca sa Pilipinas. Tinweak lang namin ng konti kasi yung naandun wala siyang sugar, wala siyang cheese. Naisip namin na gawing solo size, tapos lagyan ng palaman at of course lagyan ng keso, which suits yung palate ng Pilipino na sweet and salty. Ayun. Yung chew na sinasabi ko na nagmamarka yung ngipin mo sa kanya. Isang one of my life verses, in Deuteronomy 8:18. God is the only one that has power to give you the ability to create wealth. Kahit na anong galing ko sa tinapay, o kahit anong galing ko sa paano mag-serve, kahit na anong galing ng kunin kong employee na siya ang pinakamalupit na maggawa ng masa, si God pa rin ang magbibigay sa akin ng capacity o ng ability kumita.
After Baloy's, we were ready for our next stop. It was an unassuming eatery called Regal Dining that was conveniently located beside the town's church.
Kaya na-inlove. Kaya naman pala
Inuna pa?
Aba, syempre. Huwag ka na muna, sister. Ito muna. Ikaw na pala ko nayayapos. How are you?
I'm good, yourself?
Are you eating at this place?
Yes, yes.
Okay.
So they're one of the parang early carinderias here.
Okay. So you clearly know Dina?
Oh yes, Dina's husband was my classmate in high school. And Dina is a longtime caterer. She sort of inherited this from her mom, her talent for cooking.
Oh, nice.
And now it's one of the best-selling carinderias here in Cavite.
How long has this been here? Or is it
Oh
fairly
God, like for donkey's years.
Okay.
The carinderia is nicely situated. It's
Right
in
next to the church.
Next to San Roque Church.
Yeah, I think there's a certain sophistication in carinerias that people don't necessarily give them credit for.
Exactly.
It's not easy putting out 30 dishes.
30 dishes in one go.
Keeping them, making sure they come out, and like you said, there's probably a certain seasonality to it.
Correct.
In terms of ingredients, what's
Correct.
available, coming up with that.
I mean, yeah.
And then more importantly, feeding a very diverse palate, right?
Correct.
Making everyone happy with the classics, but also local food.
Yeah. So what's amazing about Cavite is, you can consider it as a cosmopolitan city because a lot of different, like people would come here to work. We have a big naval base and an Air Force base.
Right.
So they also bring with them their foodways, like the Ilocanos, the Ilonggos, and they sort of like share their food and their food preference. So it reflects in the carinderia. That's why this carinderia, they have like Bicol Express, and you have adobo. Like now what we're having is paksiw na lechon, and you match paksiw na lechon with danggit or
which is a
tuyo.
combo I've never seen before.
And of course, like tahong is very abundant in Bacoor Bay, in Manila Bay. And people would say that I don't want to eat tahong in Cavite because there's red tide.
It's dirty,
I mean, there's
I don't know,
there's no red tide for the last 20 years.
Yeah, it's a stigma. Yeah.
There's a stigma, but people still like eat tahong, And of course, like we have torta. Unfortunately, we don't have like that selection of torta now, but this is like a form of torta, but this is ukoy.
Ukoy, yeah.
So try it.
It's very different from any ukoy. I'm used to ukoy that's shredded.
Shredded. This is very dense.
It's chunky.
Chunky and dense.
Yeah.
The food haven of the Philippines. This is what Iloilo was officially declared as. To be honest, I didn't know much about Ilonggo food, nor did I know that it was a food haven. I always felt that it was overshadowed by nearby Bacolod. Boy, was I wrong. Not only is this city clean, well-organized, and unique, but its people are warm, inviting, and lambing. In this episode, we will be eating our way through the city, from some of the best salads I've had in the country, to an extreme but tasty pork rectum dish, to the tastiest grilled roast chicken I've ever had. and an extravagant seafood feast by the coast. We did this in a day. If you want to do the same, bring stretch pants. You're going to see me speechless quite a bit in this episode. I say wow and oh my god countless of times. My brain could not manage all the new information that I was learning, and my body barely made it through all the food we ate. This is probably one of the best places to come if you want a good snapshot of Western Visayan cuisine. Iloilo is a young, dynamic city that has so much potential, filled with food lovers. No wonder it's constantly rated as one of the most livable cities in the Philippines. The urban planning here makes sense, you still have some historic architecture, and you're not far from some of the country's best beaches. The province has an abundance of beautiful produce, and their cuisine is resourceful, comforting, steeped in history, having been influenced by both the Spanish colonization and Chinese trading, yet it remains uncomplicated and lets the ingredients shine. I needed a guide to help me figure this all out, so we reached out to Chef Tibong, a staunch advocate of Ilonggo cuisine and author of the recently released Flavors of Iloilo cookbook. Like any good food tour, we started off by looking at the local produce in the market.
This is called bukaka.
It's
we call it bukaka. The red one.
Really?
Yeah, we call it bukaka because it's opening. It's
okay.
sweet.
And it's just eaten like a fruit, right? It's very nice. It's kind of like it's like a very
earthy,
light.
It's earthy, but
like a light guyabano.
Yes, but
right?
it's earthy
subtle.
and
people eat this as a snack because I've seen this a few times.
This is snack. So this is the vegetable area. It's really spicy.
Yeah.
Very spicy.
Because a lot of these now are the ones that come from Taiwan, apparently.
Yes.
Yeah.
And that's the batuan.
Ah, yes, of course.
Yes.
You guys use batuan quite a bit also.
Yes, for our sour ingredients. Because what's the best with batuan is that it's not so sour. So this is the meat section.
What would you say is the primary protein that people eat here?
The native chicken.
Native
The
chicken.
Ilonggos are fan of native chicken. We used to have our stall there. So almost our family have meat.
Ah, okay. So you know how to butcher everything?
Yes.
Yeah.
But my dad would scold me if I touch a knife or something, you know.
Hello, good morning.
Morning.
Good morning, sir.
Morning po, kumusta?
Nagagwapo kayo, sir.
After a very fresh introduction to the cuisine, Tibong brought me to one of his childhood favorites. His father had a butchery in the market, so this was a quick, hearty meal that people who work around here gravitate towards. Owned by the Igbante family since 1969, the space is snuggled into the central market's outskirts. It's a smoky spot that emits an aroma that tells you what's cooking inside, even from the sidewalk.
So what was your first memory coming here to Cyrus?
Well, in the 70s, my dad brought me here and had pork chop.
Yeah. What's this? That
That's
looks really
Arroz
good.
Valenciana.
Ah, really?
Yes.
All right, so tell me about this place.
They've been open since 1969 or something.
Also, okay.
My first experiences with my dad. So because this is my dad's friend also. I mean, almost all the Ilonggos come here.
Yeah.
Basically, they have this biga they're famous for. The linaga.
Yeah.
And the pork chop, which we would usually use.
Banana ketchup.
Banana
Yep,
ketchup.
I'm all for it.
Yes.
I'm all for it.
It's always banana ketchup.
And then arroz
Valenciana.
And okoy?
Yes, this is
like
okoy, but this is lobo. It's a very small fish. It's like silvery fish.
Okay.
Then you just put butter.
Like a fish patty.
Yeah.
Ah, okay.
Then you dip it with the sinama.
Okay, nilaga first.
Nilaga.
Beautiful.
Right?
I
Simple.
mean, simple. The salt in the broth really comes through.
Yes. And very soft meat. Yes.
The meat is extremely tender.
Yeah.
And there's no residual fattiness.
Yes.
It's a very clean broth.
This one, biga. Rectum.
Rectum. So this is the.
Yes.
This is not even the butt. It's inside of the butt.
Inside of the butt.
What animal?
Pork.
Okay.
Really good.
No offal.
Yeah.
Flavor. No aftertaste. No clinging oiliness.
Yes.
Like really nice and clean. Okay. Arroz Valenciana.
Yes.
This makes me smile to see this on a menu. Just because I mean it just showcases Spanish heritage.
Yes.
In the most
inconspicuous of ways, right?
Yes.
It's kind of like very in a carinderia. You have arrosada veneziana.
And this is not strong flavored so that you can eat it with the dishes. So it's simple, but
So lots of turmeric in there. With liver.
yeah,
Chopped up
liver, chicken, anything you want.
Okay, I'm gonna try the paksiw.
Yeah, lechon paksiw. It's so
It
good.
looks so good.
Yeah.
Wow.
And the way he makes it with
Wow.
paksiw, right? And you know what, Erwan?
I grew up eating the paksiw that's like drenched in mangkamas.
Yes. And this one, ever since we would eat here, you know what's the best part with the eateries here in Iloilo? 10 years ago, when you come back, it's still the same. They've maintained the flavors.
So the
That's why,
generations
that's why they were able to sustain their business because of the way they cook it. So it's passed on from one generation.
Try
The
this
lobo
first.
lobo.
So yeah, a type of like white bait silverfish.
Yes. Good, huh?
Yeah.
Right?
A little bit of flour.
Yes.
This is just pork chop.
Yeah, it's just
with
regular
banana
pork
ketchup.
chop actually.
I mean, I can tell why you kind of keep coming here.
Mm-hmm.
It kind of has an experience to it. What I love about this is it's a very different array of dishes from the last one.
Yeah.
In terms of how they cook it, in terms of the flavor, how developed the flavor is.
Yes.
That one was playing with a lot of acid, a lot of subtlety. This one's a bit more bold, earthy, kind of like
They have their own
meaty
distinct flavors when you go from one place.
So this is all the dried fish.
Yes, dried fish. It comes from Estancia, from Carles.
Wow. look at
These
this.
are all products of. That's la bajita. That's the best substitute for bacalao.
Bacalao.
Yes,
Yeah.
bacalao.
They use that in Cavite a lot.
Yes.
Bacalao.
And this one is the calcag, which is usually used for vegetable soup.
And then that's the ginamos.
Yeah, that's the ginamos.
I'm trying. So just raw like this.
Yes.
Okay, I've never actually tried
It's
it raw.
small one. Small.
Not the whole thing.
Not the whole thing.
Not the whole thing.
Not the whole thing. See, it gives a distinct flavor. It's
Oh.
not too salty. It's good for your pakbit.
Yeah.
You have to bring this home. You have to bring this home.
Oh, it has I can't put my finger on it.
This is what makes batchoy very good.
There's a certain kind of like, I can't put my finger on it, but
it's fermented,
Yeah.
but not too strong.
Yeah.
And the flavor is not.
It's not cloying.
Yes.
I mean, it's very powerful.
Yeah, powerful, but especially the smell, but it does not.
Yeah, it doesn't
Yes,
stay or
stay,
stick.
yes.
And so these are what?
Small oil. CC.
CC.
Remember you
okay.
ate tuning the
And this
small
is
ones?
with vinegar.
Yes, vinegar
Okay.
or salted water.
Got it.
So here we also have different.
Wow, this is.
This is tocino.
I've actually never seen that.
Yeah, it's a tocino. It's salmonete used for paksiw.
Okay.
But this time they fillet it and put some caramel in.
And then this is just eaten as a. Can it be eaten as a snack
Yeah,
also?
you just
or?
fry it and pwede rin siya makaon hilaw. Hindi.
Hindi.
You have to fry
it talaga.
Yeah, fry it.
Okay. I don't think people realize how incredibly organized this dried fish session is.
Yes.
It is almost immaculate. Like if you look at the packaging at the top,
Yes.
it's immaculate. Color coordinated almost.
Yes.
And it's not just this stall, it's every stall. Like so when you walk
Yes.
through here,
Yes.
it's a nice experience.
Yes.
Like it actually feels like
Yes.
something you want to buy a lot from. Not something like, oh, it smells like dried fish, I want to get out of here.
Yes.
You take time. And for me, just the patterns, like
Yes.
of how the dried fish are made and everything. It's
And
just,
plus that.
it's gorgeous. Look at that.
Even yes, it's beautiful.
Like it's beautiful. Like
Yes.
especially that looks like
Yes.
little flowers.
It's time for chicken, and Rawitz is the place to be. Their stall in the market has been selling dressed native chicken called darag for the last 35 years. A decade ago, owners Jesus Haneo Jr. and wife Evangeline decided to start serving their lechon manok, and I am so thankful for that. The already tastier native chicken is meticulously cleaned before being rubbed in a paste of spices, salt, and lemongrass. Marinated in vinegar and calamansi, then stuffed with more lemongrass before being doused in a flavorful achuete oil. It's a masterpiece, and when paired with the drama of the market, a feast for all the senses. Honestly, one of the best chicken dishes in the country.
Okay. So
this is really how it's served. No utensils.
Yes,
just in hands.
usually
Okay.
like that. So there we go with the sinamak. Look at that.
Beautiful.
Yes, it's an old...
filtered already?
Yeah, filtered, yes.
So usually how old do these go for? That was one of my questions.
If you want this color or the peppers to stay long, you have to refill and refill. Don't let it dry out. Do the honors.
Okay.
Just break it. It's still hot.
Piping.
Yeah.
So just hold. You might need your help here. There you go.
There.
And then dip.
Yeah, dip. If you want to try it without dipping it so that your sting is there.
What? Super tender.
Yeah. Real good chicken.
Yeah. I mean, the chicken itself makes an amazing difference. The lemongrass is there, but not crazy amounts.
No, yeah.
Marinade.
Not too much.
It's not like acidic or anything.
Yes.
Keeps it nice and juicy. I would personally eat this over any other grilled chicken. Like, it's really tasty.
Yes.
You could probably eat one of these alone, easy.
Yeah.
Because it's not like that much meat also, right? And so this is open all day?
Yeah. By around 4 o'clock, they would serve beer and
ihaw-ihaw.
Cool.
Yeah.
So
Okay.
it's like a
So
chicken.
it's a true market.
It's a true market.
A true meeting place of people. That's amazing.
And this is where I do my tabuan before.
Okay.
I will set up the place and give them this, have different dishes
prepared here.
Yeah, prepared here.
Ah, nice. Okay. So good. I'm literally pulling it off, and right away it exposes the lemongrass. It just shows you how what little meat there is extremely flavorful.
Yes.
Man, it's like 10:30 a.m.
This is our...
It's the third stop right here.
Yeah.
I was not ready for this siopao. In the streets of Cayetano stands Roberto's Siopao, the oldest and tastiest siopao in Iloilo. The business started as a small Chinese restaurant in 1978 and gradually rose to fame because of their unusual but delicious siopao fillings. The reigning largest and most popular dish is Roberto's Queen Siopao, filled with Chinese sausage, chicken pork adobo, bacon, and eggs. Just one bite and you'll know why Roberto's secured its spot as an Iloilo icon.
Dude, it's like
It's really spongy. Chunks of onion in there, lots of pork. That's really good. Roberto's is considered an institution apparently here. So many people told us to come here, mainly for their siopao.
You know, sometimes siopao, it can be very heavy and dense. But this one, parang okay siya.
Look at that.
Boom. Oh my God.
Holy fuck. I haven't had a really good siopao in a long, long time.
No. Yeah, for me,
Lots of
sometimes
sauce.
the siopao that you get, it's so pasty, it turns into paste.
Yeah.
But this one, it's still spongy, soft. It's still bread.
Yet, the filling retains so much sauce. I mean, I think that's why the bottom was kind of like sticking a little bit, because it's filled with lots of sauce.
But it's so good.
This is possibly one of the best things I've eaten today, honestly. Honestly, this is next level siopao. If you do come to Iloilo City, you need to try out this place.
Everyone I talked to before coming to Silay told me that I had to try the guapo pie at El Ijal.
El Ijal got its name from the ideal. It was named by my great-grandfather, Cesar Locsin. El Ijal started opening its door in the 1920s as a bakery lang. And then eventually my grandmother expanded the business into bakery and refreshment parlor. So until now, we just continue what they have started. So ang guapol pie naman was born in the 1980s during the sugar crisis. Farmers would resort to other crops and one of them is guavas. Since hindi siya masyadong mabenta sa market, my grandmother thought of something na gagamitan niya ng guava. Ang guapol pie, we started slicing the guavas into smaller bits. Lagyan natin ng cinnamon and sugar and then timplahin lang and then lagyan natin to ng crust. The taste is somehow unique because the guava, being a tropical fruit, has its own distinct flavor also.
This recipe showcases a great story of localization. We all know that we don't grow apples in the Philippines, so it makes sense to find something that is similar in texture to fill that void. Though a guapo, an improved version of a guava, is tasty in its own right. Its flesh is crunchy and it's much juicier than its counterpart. It also helps that it's a non-seasonal and ever-bearing tree.
Being featured by the great Doreen Fernandez is overwhelming actually. She is an institution, especially the food scene here in the Philippines. It's somehow special because these are heirloom recipes. Until now, it hasn't changed. We have to strictly keep the family tradition by keeping the recipes alive.
So I'm actually really excited to try this, simply because I'm a huge Doreen Fernandez fan.
Yeah.
And I remember reading her book, I think it was Tikim,
Yeah,
Essays
Tikim,
on
Tikim.
Filipino food.
Yes.
And she had a whole section about silay. So that's why I'm super excited, because she really talked about the guapo pie, correct?
Yes. This is the guapo pie. It's the masterpiece of my grandmother, Alice Locsin Villanueva.
And she just came up with the recipe.
Yes.
So what are we looking for? So like a more crunchy texture?
Yes. More crunchy texture. Sweet.
It has that guava powdery texture, which is really important, obviously, also. I've always been fascinated by family businesses that have lasted so long.
We take it that this establishment is a legacy of our great-grandfather and, of course, the passion. Dining here brings back memories not just within us, but our customers also.
I love how there are businesses that are doing really well in kind of these old heritage buildings.
Silay has this harmonious relationship with the present and the past.
I like that.
Yes.
I don't know if you've noticed, but I've finished. I've already finished the pie. It's just so easy to eat because it's very light in terms of texture. The crust has a bit of crunch to it, but it gives really well.
Just across the street, another family heirloom story awaits. The ancestral home of the Montelibanos Lacson sisters, Soledad and Maria, feels like a secret that is standing right in front of you.
So another ancestral house, and I was told to just go into the compound, and apparently there's some really good empanadas here. It's a little weird. I feel like I'm breaking in.
Built in the 1900s, it is where you'll find the best empanada de calisquis, lumpia, and pili squares that the city has to offer.
Hanapin mo kung saan siya naka-pwesto yung bahay ni Emma Lacson. But there's no name because it's a mystery. My great-grandmother started this business since 1925. Her daughter took over. My grandmother was the one who made the pili recipe. After my grandmother, my mother, and then me. Ngayon, recipe namin na bestseller is the empanada. The pisang product namin, also a bestseller, is the pili square. It's made of pili nuts, just pili nuts, and syrup. Inalagaan, because that's already a heritage.
This is probably one of the most unique dining experiences you could have in the Philippines. You feel like a thief entering in a dark tunnel, like you're about to burglar someone's heritage house, which is a beautiful structure. Then you kind of have like the second floor where people actually live, and upstairs there's this little secret kitchen that is just so dramatic and beautiful to kind of be in. Pili squares. This kind of looks to me like a food for the god, but I'm all about pili, and oh my god, that texture is just doughy, gluey. That is just so moist, buttery. Almost like an undertone of dates, even though there's no dates in there. But just the perfect combination of chew, you get some of the nuttiness, you get a hint of sweetness. We have
their famous empanadas. These empanadas are also something to behold. Crunchy, flaky, sweetness in the onions. Wow, amazing. This is like masterly done. And alas, they also make lumpia, more lumpia. Can we say a note of appreciation for all the lumpias in Silay? This is the perfect size. Look at that. This is a lumpia. Wow. You don't need sauce. That's why they didn't give us sauce. The sauce is inside. And the fact that it stays all together, awesome. 2, I'm gonna steal this recipe. Everyone should start making lumpia but this way. Probably one of the best I've had. Yet another secret little spot. I love how these places are hidden. It just kind of like builds the experience and the anticipation a bit more. So I heard they make a really good piaya.
Po si Maret, Nanay Maret ang tawag sa akin. 70 years old na po ako. Ito pong piyaya, galing po ito sa lula ng husband ko. Minana namin. Kasi noon, hirap kami sa buhay. Sabi ko, ano kaya mabuting gawin? Sabi ko, kaya na, ano ko na, gumawa nito. Kasi noon wala naman akong tao, isa lang, kami lang ng husband ko, ng anak ko, ang gumagawa. Ngayon, 5 na. Ito po si Rodilyn, matagal na po ito yung sa akin. Ito din si Norman. Ito si Wawi. Ganon din. At si Bonbon. Parang mga anak ko na rin po. Yan si Big, yung anak ko, siya nang mamanage dito. Nanay tawag sa akin, lahat sila nanay. Para mga anak ko, minsan pinapagalitan ko rin.
So super flaky. Namit good, yeah. Very good.
Salamat.
Not too sweet. Yeah, super syrup. Super syrup.
Each time we go anywhere, we meet such amazing and interesting people who produce kind of like the highest quality products and produce. So we did a lot of singular subject documentaries this year, and we're really gladly surprised that they ended up doing so well. So we know in 2024, we can definitely do more of those.
When you say Kinilaw artist, Enteng talaga of Sagay, the pride of Sagay.
Takigi, tuna, squid, yung mga maliit, kinikilaw yan. Lahat na isda, sa makita mo sa laot, pwede makilaw yan, basta fresh lang.
All he wants is to serve good food, and he just wants to serve it in Sagay, where he grew up.
Si tatay nung una, pagdating sa tabing dagat, mayroon na kaming dalang beer. Yun na yan, inom na yan. Tapos kuha lang yan ng isda, ilagay sa suka. Kain lang yan, inom ng beer. Doon ko nakita yung style niya sa pagkilaw.
Yung idea siya, hindi mo mabaliwala. Kasi hands-on siya eh. Pag ihaw, pag katay pa, alam niya eh, na-experience niya. So, ang hirap pantayan.
Nakikinig siya, nakikisama siya, at incorporate niya lahat ng mga ideas ng mga, somehow, ng mga nakakahalubilo niya, at nilalagay niya mismo sa putahe niya.
Ang tatay ko noon, ganyan din magkilaw. Ito yung ginagawin ko ngayon. Maski si Doreen Fernandez nagsasabi sa akin na iba talaga yung kinilaw mo, Enting. Kinilaw na kinilaw talaga.
Ako si Vicente Enting Lobaton. Ako nagsugod sinitanan nga business. Ang tatay ko, fisherman sa Old Sagay. Pagkagabi, umalis ng bahay papunta ng laot. Tapos pagka umaga, nandyan na siya. Lahat kami doon din sa tabing dagat naghihintay sa ama namin. Pagkatapos, ibinta yung mga isda, uwi kami lahat sa bahay. Yan ang routine ng aming pamilya namin sa Sagay. Yung una, si tatay ko, marunong talaga yung magluto. Yung magluto ng kambing, magkatay ng kambing. Sabi niya, ikaw lang ang turuan ko talaga nito. Natutunan ko lahat ng pangluluto sa ginagawa ko dito. Yan, sa tatay ko yan lahat.
So dito sa Sagay City, simple lang yung pamumuhay dito. We're not highly urbanized. We are agricultural tsaka fishery na industry dito sa Negros. We are home of one of the largest and most successful marine conservation in the Philippines. That's Sagay Marine Reserve.
Napaka-silent yung city, but if you go deeper, malalaman mo na maraming kwento.
Pag-college ko na, it was 1972, nag-aral ako sa Bacolod, sa West Negros College. Pagkahapon, wala na akong klase. Doon ako nag-standby sa barbecue-han ng manok. Doon ako nag-inom ng beer, kain ng manok. Diyan ko nakita primero yung mga ingredients nila. After 2 years sa LCC, umuwi ako ng Sagay. Sinabihan ko yung kapatid ko na babae. Sabi ko, maggawa tayo ng manukan dito sa Sagay. Marunong ka ba? Nag-aral ako dyan sa Bacolod. Paggawa kami ng maliit na manukan. Dito sa Sagay, walang barbecuehan dito eh. Akong first naggawa ng barbecuehan dito sa Sagay.
Tunay na boss.
Ayan ang boss.
Tunay na boss lot.
Ganda umaga po. Ganda umaga eh. Maski itlog, hindi namin pinapaluto yan. January 1988, I starts this business in Sagay City. Ang tatay ko, buhay pa yon pag-start ko once ang business. Sabi niya sa akin niya, Enting, banta ko daw, inagurong imo negosyo, amo gina makapasalbar sa imo. Sabi ng tatay ko sa akin na ang luto, pag malaman mo na, huwag mong iwanan yan dahil iyan ang gusto mo. Bigayan ng Panginoon sa iyo. Tapos, baka diyan ka makapira. Yan talaga ang naano ko. Gusto ko malaman tong lahat ng mga tinuro ng tatay. Na-develop ko, ganyan. Last 1991, nagpunta dito si Doreen Fernandez. Alis tayo. Kung saan tayo punta? Punta tayo sa tabing dagat, doon tayo magkikilaw. Sabi ko sa kanya, maski saan tayo makapunta na island na mayroong isda, kilawin natin. Dating sa Suyak, kilaw. Punta kami ng Bantayan, kilaw. Lahat, sige kilaw. Sa ulihi, hindi ko alam na ginagawa niya pala ng libro yung ginaano ko sa kanya.
You could see in her face how awed she was with the talent of Enting because it's natural. It wasn't studied. It was how he grew up. Going with his father, riding the boat, catching fish, and learning how to appreciate fish and seafood, how it should be eaten.
After 2 months, nagtawag sa akon nga mapadala sa Kililawon sa Silay. Pagdating ko sa Bacolod, book launching gali isang kinilaw nga libro. Ako ang kinilaw artist, ang ginalagay sa libro, kinilaw artist. Dito ay ko piniro kabalo. Sus dito na urot ang among kinilaw. Urot man ang iya libro nga dala, baligya gitanan. Pagkatapos hindi sa ako na lahat na profit dito, first profit, ibigay ko sa iyo lahat. Huwag na siling ko, hindi yan sa ano. Wala ko nagbaton. After 2 to 3 weeks, pumunta ba ulit dito. Binigyan ang asawa ko ng chiki. Hiwain muna natin itong tangigi. Tapos ibabad natin sa salt water ito. Hugasan natin ng salt water. Ang una, lagyan natin ng kaunting salt. Tapos itong luya natin, siling labuyo, kaunti lang rin. Depende sa taste mo. Kung gusto mong mas mahanghang, mas maganda to. The next is the calamansi. We'll put calamansi. The last is the sugar para ma-neutralize natin yung asim. Ang the last, our kinilaw sauce. Huwag mo muna ibabad sa kinilaw sauce natin kung hindi nakakakain. Dahil pag ibabad mo siya, maluluto yung isda. Ang aton kilawon karon ay lokot, seaweeds. Hugasan muna natin, ibabad muna natin sa salt water to. Tulad din ng pagkilaw natin ng tangigi. Luya, siling labuyo natin, onion at saka tomato. Yan natin ng salt, kaunting sugar. Itong lokot, maski lagyan mo ng sauce, ng kinilaw sauce natin, walang problema. Yan. Ito na ang kinilaw na seaweeds. Makilaw naman ta dalinuan. Ang pinakamasarap na magawa ng kinilaw ay yung freshness ng isda at saka yung pure Cuba vinegar.
Because of his experience and because of his wide knowledge on how to kilaw anything, practically anything, I believe that he should be recognized as a national treasure because we don't have many people who know how to do that.
Gusto magpaturo. Hindi naman natin ito binigay lang naman ng Diyos sa atin. Bakit hindi natin i-share? Ngayon, si Toto Mark, dahil sabi ko, kailangan mo na to. Sabi ko, I'm 65 years old. Gusto ko na lang mag-relax, hindi na ako gusto magtrabaho. Ngayon, siya na. Lahat, mga kinilaw, mga luto dyan, luto na sa lahat. Ang gusto ko talaga sa anak ko, itong business na to, ibigay ko ito sa iyo, huwag mong pabayaan.
So gagawa tayo ng shrimp na kinilaw. Mas madali itong ikilaw compare sa ibang mga isda. At first, yung tao parang hesitant kumain ng kinilaw na shrimp. So gusto ko din na i-introduce na sa lahat. Especially ito, medyo madali din natin makikita sa market. Bata pa kami, since elementary, binibigyan kami ng trabaho kung anong areas, sample, mag-waiter, mag-cashier, gano'n. So until ngayon, nandyan pa rin sila para mag-guide sa amin.
Parang meron silang own choreography din minsan pag nandito, no? Makikita mo si nung Enting, may ginagawa siya, may ginagawa. So parang they have their own unwritten choreography pag nandito sila sa kusina nila, sa restaurant nila.
Usually, ang ginagawa ko, magigising ako 5:30 in the morning. Basta?
Entry ka karon?
Ulo. Sa ako, mangita pa ko di kililaw mo. Bago na? Masih ha?
Bago lang. Mauwan yung gilain.
Tapos kukunin ko yung mga unang kailangan para sa lulutuin. Tapos yung mga isda. Usually, pagdating ko dito, pag-operate ng store, doon na kami lahat. Magtulong-tulong na kami sa kitchen, kung anong area ang kulang.
Mga lison.
Yung natutunan ko is, kailangan hands-on ka. Kasi pag may mga problema, may mga dapat desisyonan, pag nandyan ka, mabilis magawa ng paraan.
Dito, yung mga customer ko, 60 to 70% mga relatives ko. Taga rito ako Sagay. Tapos yung iba, mga kaibigan ko rin. Halos lahat ng customer ko dito, kilala ko talaga.
We have a tendency to simplify our food. Yes, in essence, Filipino food is not complicated, but saying it's simple doesn't help its representation. Enting is a true master of his craft, someone who has learned from experience, heritage, and repetition. He has figured out the art of balance in a dish that is known for being delicate. Watching him work was inspiring. He moves with efficiency, someone who knows how to get dishes out quickly for an unrelenting lunch crowd. He cooks with confidence, trusting his hands to serve only the best tasting dishes. Finally, he exudes humility in his craft, making sure that anyone he talks to can learn something. You walk away with a full stomach, an ear filled with stories, and a mind at peace, knowing that the country has true artisans like him that will inspire a generation of cooks to believe that Filipino food is great, as long as we respect our ingredients and cook them with passion and love.
Si Sir Enting rin yung isang instrument na tumatak yung Sagay City sa mapa in terms of culinary.
If there's some milestone in our life, dito talaga pupunta kami ng Entings of Sagay. So doon we enjoy yung chicken nila.
Entings, bahay, pamilya, at kwento. Bahay na in a sense na pagpasok mo pa lang, kahit anong tsura, anong estado, welcome ka.
Sabi ko sa kanya, huwag mong sayangin yung bigay ni God sa atin dahil sabi ko, ibigay ko ito sa iyo, Mark.
Hindi naman natin alam kung magugustuhan din ng tao yung sa atin. Pero ang importante lang, kung anong sinimulan niya, i-maintain na natin. O, higitan natin, mas maganda. Mas alam ko naman, mas happy siya, ganun.
My gosh, he grew up with that kind of environment, so I don't think there is a way that he will not succeed. All he has to do is follow his heart, just like his father, follow his passion, and I'm sure he'll be able to do it.
Definitely, Mark Lobaton is paving his own way into the culinary world na kahit dito sa Sagay, hindi lang yung image ng tatay niya, kundi siya din.
Yung tultol na sinasabi, kung tatawagin ngayon ay black salt siya.
Sa bilog na Pilipinas, wala kang may nakita. Siguro na tultol. Dito lang sa Guimaras.
This could be one of the most unique salts we've found in the Philippines. Tultul is an organic, solid, cooked salt made in Barangay Huskin, Hordan. It is one of the community's long-standing traditions and one that entails a tedious process.
Ako nga pala si Shirley Paduhinog, alias Ninin. Ang edad ko, 63 years old. Na nagluluto ng tultol. Dito ako nakatira sa Barangay Huskin. Asin yun na bilog. Yan ang tinatawag na tultol. Kasi nung maliit pa ako, sabi ng tatay ko, magluto tayo ng tultol. Kasi pag wala tayong ulam, yan lang diin-diin sa kanin, ulam na. Yung maalat din, pero parang ibang lasa niya, compare mo sa asin. Malinamnam yan kasi, may nyog yan nga na kahalo. Pinagmanahan ko yan, sir, sa lulo ko, sa tatay ko. Ngayon ako na. Tapos yung mga bata ko, yan ang ginagawa din. Nagtutulong.
Natuto po ako ito ng 14 years old. Kasi tradisyon daw ng magulang ng lolo ko. Kaya ginaya ni mama. Tapos, para sa kung sakaling di na siya makagawa, mayroon pong may mag-continue ng tradisyon ng toltol sa Huskin.
Actually kami support lang and then gusto na ring matuto. So pero talagang si nanay talaga yung yung nag-start talaga at yung nakakaalam kung paano yung proseso.
Kasi noon nung 11 years old, yan ang ginagawa namin. Yung tultol, dati noon, pag may gumagawa, kahit yung mga tao doon sa bundok, pumupunta, mayroon din, pag wala silang pera, bigyan kanilang saging. Bigyan kanilang balinghoy, kamuting kahoy. Yan, parang may palit lang para makaulam sila.
Si nanay ko, yung pag-process niya po sa paggawa ng tultol, gumigising niyan madaling araw.
Tapos magtipon-tipon ng mga kahoy ng dagat.
Nanay Nenen and her children begin the process of making tultul by selectively gathering dagsa, an assortment of driftwood from the beach. These have been soaked in salt water for long periods of time, which gives them their salinity. The gathered dagsa is then burned in large quantities. This step can take up to a week, depending on how much ash is generated from the driftwood.
Pag nakakuha na kami ng abo, ilagay naman namin sa kaing. Yan. Tapos, kunin naman yung dagat at saka ibuhos doon sa kahing.
Seawater is poured again on the kaing, and the strained water is collected in containers underneath it. The process is repeated several more times to develop a hyper-concentrated solution. She mixes gata or coconut milk with the strained water, and then pours it into a hornohan or cooking pan. Small amounts of the strained water from the kaing are continuously added. After several hours, all moisture from the solidified salt completely evaporates, resulting in brick-like lumps of salt or barreta that are then packaged and sold. While Nanay Nenen and her family take pride in their tradition, they once met hurdles that almost threatened their livelihood.
Nung roon ng oil spill, hindi kami gumagawa ng tultul. Ilang bisis kami na hindi kami kasi epektado yung mga dagsa sa baybay. Lahat marami. Wala kami may nagawa. Sir, siguro mga 7 years na hindi kami nakagawa ng tultul. Kasi pag dating ng oil spill na una, tapos yung power barge naman, pagdating naman ng COVID, natagal. Hindi kami gumagawa ng tultul. Pag minsan, yung mga anak ko, kahit sa tricycle lang, nag-extra drive para makakita ng pera.
Pag hindi nangalakal, ang lang kami sir, mangingisda lang kami. Mingwet lang po. Yan lang po. Tapos, mangsisid po ng pasayan. Yan po trabaho namin. Thank you po ako sir kasi siya naging mama ko. Proud ako sir kahit sa anong trabaho. Sa pera man or sa pagkain, hindi kami pinababayaan. Sa pag-alaga, sa pag-aruga.
Kahit ano lang sir ang ginagawa ko para lang mabuhay yung mga anak ko. Dito lang sa Guimaras, mo lang nang ginagawa namin. Yung sa iba, hindi ko alam kung bakit kung may pumapasok pa nga asin dito ba. Ewan ko lang sa kanya kung bakit kung ganun ba. Nga sa ibang bansa pa sila gumagawa, ang dito sa atin hindi. Kasi sabi ko sa mga anak ko, turuan na kayo para malaman nyo kung paano ang pagproseso ng tultul. Di ba? Para pag matanda na ako, kayang-kaya nyo pag magawa ng tultul.
Actually, para ma-maintain po yung cultural namin na ganito yung tradisyon sa pagluto, para hindi ito mawala.
Patuloy ko yung ginagawa ko, sir. Kasi wala naman may ibang gumagawa ng tultul. Pasalamat ako kung mayroon na bumibili o kaya umuorder na marami, gagawa rin ako agad-agad. Pag na yung mga tultul namin na ginagawa, pag nandun na sa ibang bansa, okay na. Siyempre, happy ako.
Luckily, there is hope. On September 11, 2023, a priority bill seeking to revive the Philippine salt industry was approved on its final reading, which means it is only a signature away from becoming a law. While we have been seeing small wins for the salt-making industry, it can be expected that there will be more challenges along the way. Talk about our traditional salts, honor the artisans behind them, and support them in any way you can.
The best things in life are often the hardest ones to get. This takes on a whole new meaning with gamit. Gamit is a local species of seaweed found in the northernmost regions of Luzon, particularly in Ilocos Norte and Cagayan. As the winds and waves crash aggressively against the shore, it causes the purple-blackish seaweed to grow in rocks along the coast. Gamit usually thrives during November to March when the northwest monsoon season, or amihan, brings harsh winds and strong rain in the north, creating an ideal petri dish environment for the seaweed to cultivate. Since gamit commands a high price in the market, 1 square foot size sells for as much as 1,000 pesos or $18. Gamit pickers walk the thin line between life and death just to harvest some of this coveted black gold. In the farthest, sharpest rocks on the beach, the treasure lies, and that's where Tatay Erwan intends to go today.
Ako po si Armando Pante, 69 years old, taga Barangay Pagali, Burgos, Ilocos Norte po. Ang trabaho ko po ay fisherman. Mga 50 years na po akong kumukuha ng gamit ngayon mula nung pagkabata po ako. Mga magulang ko po, dinadala ako sa dagat, tapos tinuturoan akong kumuha ng gamit. Malaki kasi ang maitutulong ng gamit po sa amin, sa mga pamilya namin, dahil mahal po ang gamit. Yung isang piraso po, pag umpisa ng gamit, 800 pesos po yung isang piraso. Isang pilang po yun. Mahirap po ang manguha ng gamit dahil kung malalakas ang alon, hindi po kami kumukuha. Pag humupa po ang hangin, doon kami kumuha ng gamit. Yung gamit po, pag umulan, yun, unti-unting umusbong yung tubo ng gamit sa batuhan. Umulan ng 1 linggo, yun, tutubo na po yung gamit. Mahalaga ang gamit sa amin, sir, dahil malaki ang may tutulong sa pamilya namin. Pero ngayon po, wala ang gamit nung November dahil walang ulan. Malaki ang talaga. Hindi talaga ako makakuha ng gamit.
The weather has let Tatay Erwan down today. Not only was there not enough rain for the seaweed to grow in the past few days, the winds were too rough to pick what little gamit could be gathered from the rocks. We waited almost a year for this, yet we failed to find gamit in Burgos. But we were not ready to give up. So we headed to the town of Baligod to see if there were any gamit pickers gambling on their chances just as much as we did. Luckily, we found Ruben in Sitio Banyaran, who was just getting ready for another battle at sea.
Awan ma'am, saklat tati ko ma'am nang napanagal. Alam ma'am ka sakripisyo ko mati bagbagay. Narigat ma'am, tiya gala. Dahil puspus tam ti biyag mo ma'am. Isumot ti pangalalam iti pagbiag mi ma'am. Isumot ti pangalak ti dakdakkel na pangkuak ti pamilyak ma'am. Iso nga nanginamot ngamin, ma'am. Sige gamot.
O kung pwede man, araw-araw pumunta kung pwede sa dagat.
Agtureda ka na ko at sumot lati pangalakti ko. Uray na pig sagutin naklata. Isot nam na mga kapangalanti agserbi ka tayo.
Sinabi niya sa akin, ma'am, kung umuwi na, sinabi niya sa akin na may delikadong, may nasugatan, ganyan, yung mga kasama niya. Kung nandito ako, may kaba ako sa kanila.
The demand for gamut still exists even when the conditions don't necessarily cooperate, but harvesters like Ruben have to make do with what's available. This particular gamut produced from a quote-unquote bad spell, since there wasn't enough rain to help seaweed grow abundantly. Harvesters combined gamut with a type of seaweed called kulot as an alternative, some green mixed in with the purple.
Yung ibibenta ko ng mga tourist, ganyan, 200. Kung kumakain ka ng gamit, ma'am, may tulong sa sustansya, ganyan. At saka yung mga healthy.
Mary Lou, Ruben's wife, makes tortang gamit, a seaweed omelet. She tears the dried gamut into pieces and adds them to a beaten egg that's been seasoned with salt. The mixture coagulates as Nanay continues to whisk it with a fork. She then cooks it as you would a regular omelet, fried in a pan with some oil. The process is simple, but the ingredients make all the difference.
It's important that everyone who's watching understands the flavor. So we have the fresh one here, and the amount of effort it took to get this is impressive. I was behind Tatay with my camera and I was struggling and he was just championing through. The flavor, it tastes like the sea, but it's so clean. I can imagine this with tomatoes, raw onions, some really nice dark vinegar. It'd be absolutely beautiful, just as a salad. But Nanay made us an amazing omelet which stuck together using the dried gamut, which was used just in its dried form, chopped up, added to the egg. All that somehow, I guess the egg rehydrated the algae, kept everything together, so once it hit the pan, it kind of expanded and it kept its shape, which is really cool. So she was able to flip it with just one hand and like a deftly maneuver, which I really love. Perfectly fried. My goodness. Sarap, Nay. The texture is amazing. That little bit of rice. Seriously, tortang talong, take a back seat. It's all about tortang gamut. That is so good. And you have this, which reminds me of kind of like the Korean pregnancy soup that they do with algae. Japanese wakame soups. We have our own versions. We just need to go out and find them.
Yung mga anak ko po, tinuruan ko sila nung elementary na sila, dinadala ko sa dagat, tapos sasabihin ko na manguha ng gamit dahil ang gamit mahalaga para sa amin dito sa Barangay Pagalit.
Sumot la ti pangalakan ako ti agserbi ka tayo. No, ada chimpo na pinaggamot ma'am. Agdamot dito panagawan na ma'am. December lang aming. Ti kaadda na. Iso nga ano kaado na ma'am. Naklat tagalaw ray pamigsa. Karkarigatak ma'am ka.
Matagal sir, hanggat buhay ako, kukuha ako ng gamit sir. Basta kaya ko.
Yes, gamut owes its richness to the sea, but even more so to the resilience and resourcefulness of people like Tatay Arman and Ruben who brave the shores to give their families a taste of the good life. May we remember that each time we get to enjoy heirloom delicacies such as this.
Bago walang resitang gamot, bago walang palo.
Okay. bayan. Tapos yung matahan siya. Wala yung sinasabi dyan. Mga saging. Pwede.
Ang dating old Thailandia ito. Binago na.
Sino?
Lalabas. Anywhere, anytime, any drink, any hour, almost. Almost ako.
Kuya mo, no? Mainit lang yan. Kakamayin. Alam mo na ako alin ang lalagyan mo. Wala pang kontrata.
Oh, sige. Ako na ako kontrata.
Sige.
Bago yung may dumating kang tanggayuma. Harold! Studios!
Dinibidyo pala.
Ayun ang sinasabi ko.
Kumangkin mo na. Nakuha na. Sabi ko ilak to.
Pato, nasan yung mga binibiling pakaskas?
Ito, oh.
I know we're running long here, but we also explored a lot of ingredients and products that we think could do really well internationally if exposed properly, both on a livelihood perspective for the producers, but also just to generate income for the country, but also interest into the culture of the country through the food that's being exported out of the Philippines.
I believe in Tapuy because it's a part of our culture. It's part of Filipino tradition. It's something that's not being interested by the younger generation.
Karo ba, may kayo tominom tayo ti Tapoy, naimas daytoy, pagpatidog ti biyag.
In the Philippines, as in most of Asia, rice is as much a daily fare as it is an everyday marvel. It has the potential to transform in many ways, as a humble bowl of lugao energizing the day of many, as a viand for ulam, as kakanin celebrating regional culinary expressions. But perhaps my favorite manifestation is one not yet too familiar on many tongues, a traditional fermented rice beverage called tapoy. Philippine rice wine predates recorded history, but its earliest written documentation was 1686, found in Englishman William Dampierre's expedition journals. He described an alcoholic drink made by natives of Mindanao from boiled rice that was allowed to steep in water for some time in earthen jars. You'd be surprised to know there's more to Philippine native beverages than tuba and lambanog. To start wading in the depth of Tapuy, I trekked to where rice continues to pulsate beyond everyday routine. The rice terraces of Putad, Ifugao in central Luzon. I meet with Irene Binalet, a local guide and resident of Ifugao.
It's a banawar. It's a blackbird. Yeah, so there are a lot in this area. That's why people here, they adopt it as the name of this small village. But then, people pronounce it wrongly. It becomes Banawi. So Banawar becomes Banawi. Darker one is rice wine.
Okay, so the color, is it all the same usually, or you can tell?
You can tell. Some are like light color.
Okay.
It's like this. They must not, they have to lose it.
The carbonation?
Yes.
Okay.
That's why when you do this.
Oh, tip, don't tip. Okay.
Yeah. So the festival here in Banawi is, we call it Imbaya. It means enjoy a lot of rice wine.
Okay, I like that.
The one who's making the rice wine will have to go and look for this blackjack. Together with the dandelion. They have to take it. Usually it's the roots.
Oh, the roots.
Yes. Mix it together. They take the concoction from the roots, mix it with the dandelion concoction. They mix it together, and then mix it with the powder rice, tinawon rice.
Oh, so
to make yeast.
Okay.
Pinokpo.
Pinokpo.
Yeah.
With this one,
it's like the poison and the antidote. I don't make it. I never tried it.
But you were
I'm
told.
always asking.
Oh.
And people cut it, they make a knot like that. It just means, and they put it on things. It just means no.
Don't use it.
Yeah, don't use it.
We've
Don't
already
pass
touched
here.
it. Mm.
Yes, don't get it. Yes.
After trekking through the terraces, Irene shares the ways in which rice remains deeply embedded in many aspects of life.
It's called Tapuy, where in Baguio only.
Tapuy.
Baya.
Tapuy. Puya.
Huh?
Puya.
Puya.
Puya or baya.
Here.
Yes.
Ah, okay. So women normally don't drink it, or it's okay.
They drink it after. After the rice harvest, they go home to the house of the owner of the rice field. Yes, and then they drink together rice wine. But mainly, today, few are going to the house of the owner. So imbaya, it means too much rice wine. Yes.
Too much.
So in the olden days, we have the so-called bumaya.
Okay.
Bumaya are the people who are rich. Rich in having the rice terraces, the wide rice terraces.
Yeah.
So when they plant, after planting the rice fields, they have a ritual wherein it's to please the God they believe, to ask favor that their plants will be protected from harm, from landslide, from storm, from pest. So same with the building of the houses. You could ask the locals to come and help you. So many will come and help you build something just for a day, but you have to provide one free meal and a lot of
I was
tapuy.
gonna say,
And
I think
then
that's a good
tapuy or
trade.
baya and rice wine.
Yeah.
So after the work, they
Celebrate.
they drink like
Drink and
there's
eat.
no tomorrow.
If you think making rice wine is easy work, think again.
Here in Banawi, it's already harvest season. As you see, golden yellow. It's a harvest season. It's time to harvest and to get the grains. So we have to make rice wine. Here we have the different types of rice, which we harvested for today. We have the purple rice and the Palawan rice, California rice. This is also California rice or minadjo. And this is the pinkitan. Pinkitan is the one that we use to make the rice wine.
Irene introduces me to Umangan and Inyope Bumangat, who have been making bubod or pinokpo in the heart of Batad.
So it's like they are both like blackjack. It has this, but with these 3 leaves, it's not usable for the rice yeast, unless if this is the blackjack. It has this that sticks, but it has 5 leaves. The roots of this 5-finger plant, they use the roots of this to make rice yeast.
Ipo.
Ipo. They still kept this old type.
Right.
Old type of basin. Hinay umoy o potan himong payad hi pakuy. Tunhay pajauan miin.
Amaret tabuon hang wang.
On.
Kundo. Dogi. Kutit imare.
Hay at atom ine.
Ya mamahi pinuon tidak okhi pinokpo ite
Hay nga chunne
onward
onward
hete hanan pongpong waho.
Oh.
Tidak okhi ayam pinokpo ite hanan onward.
In hapoy mo pa hene.
Gani hapoy.
At nay ako pun hapo dyan.
Conforme matong kanakan malango.
Ikanah madray.
No, nalango teo. Tu ingwawal lang kon ta unit mahapor ay yung aton usoron nung amata kinokpo.
O ja at nay ipemhi at hina at nay
Kompromi ete, kompromi
ite ja apat chi in
apat
baso.
ngam kulin hi Uloy map atet hito.
Oo.
Buli map no eko yon ay lokan him polo no eko yon. Nang angolon ay tae papatatas atin unap ngulu. Ti apat si hopan ne yang taon.
Either 6 to 8 roots, 4 to 5 cups of this tinawon rice.
They're just cleaning first.
So we are going to use this liquid. We're going to pound the soft grains, tinawon rice. Going to use this
Sharper. Okay.
Imuy mahi 20 sitagon hi umama ete. Na opar he sitan ijangoy ni hete kay mo. Tin umija hit ni seta hi.
Ano atom?
Atan peloton hete mahi pen
So after putting the yeast, it's time to put it in the taki, local made rattan basket, and keep it inside the house for about 3 to 4 days.
Inikat on mun amahi umat hito hi ripok kaya ne aron mi. Yanan panggap hipon aman, yanan naka-harvest si pakuy. Miyam may umat hito inuman si pang tataku an umalin mi ginom. Ja anon siya panupkap kuy, ja anon siya puka. Ja imkajuan. Kasi an imkajuan himun amah ya umat hiton tohian atinap na blay siya piman. Ja ingkana kan umar pa Asian party ja inaan siya an tapno mit ahliri. Jo ka. Tak kasih lah etang cia.
On the teeth?
Oh, try it.
I can't.
You can try it.
Tapuy is deeply rooted among people in the highlands, but in what ways can this traditional beverage traverse into contemporary times? I wanted to meet the new generation probing these same questions. Sitting on the provincial fringe of Ilocos Norte is Adams, a small, quiet town perched on what seems to be at the golden cusp of winemaking in the Philippines.
I'm Bielma Juwali Bawingan of Adams, Ilocos Norte. I make chocolates, I make wines, especially the Bugnay wine. Nagsimula tayo na mag-Bugnay wine making way back 2008, which is a local government initiative because at that time, we're finding a product for guests to bring home as souvenir. Pili ang Bugnay wine kasi yon ang pinaghahanap-hanap ng mga bisita natin, lalo na noong araw, mga taga-Kapitolyo, they keep on looking for Bugnay wine when they visit Adams. Ang pinaprocess natin na bugnay ay ang fully ripe fruit at nag-harvest tayo. We have the peak season and off-season production. Yung peak season natin is from June, July, August at ang ating off-season production, which we call it limited wine, bugnay wine, that is from November, December, and then February at saka March. We do the hot method of making wine. Iboboil natin, isasala siya to collect the juice, and then pipigain niya. Dito na tayo sa area kung saan tayo nag-aging. After 6 months of aging, that's the time that we bottle. The first one that we are going to taste is the peak season production. This is the premium wine.
Wow. It's that's really nice. It's very smooth.
Yes.
And sweet, but not too sweet. It's like the perfect amount of sweetness. And this is the off-season, right?
Yes, off-season production. You can see that it's lighter. Its body is lighter as compared to the peak season production.
All right. It's nice also, but yeah, it's sweet, but not as juicy and sweet as the peak season wine.
Next.
Very generous though.
2015. So you could see here that
I might need like a little wipe down.
Yeah, we're
getting a little
some
flushed.
Peaks.
So 2015.
That's sure 2015.
Wow, it's very clean to me for something being aged. How many years now? 7 years.
Yes.
This is Ken. He grew up in Ilocos and saw the potential of this local beverage after meeting Manang Arnani and tasting her tapoy. He started Proudly Promdi as a way to magnify traditionally homebrewed Philippine beverages.
With the community-based sustainable tourism that was introduced by another friend of Bing from the UNDP, United Nations Development Program, we found the Bugnay wine under ng product development ng community-based sustainable tourism. And with Ken, he began ordering a lot of Bugnay wine from Inuwayan. And then he asked me again, can you produce some tapoy for me, tita? And I said, to spread the butter, I will introduce you to one of my staff sa health center, and that is Ernani.
While wineries dot across town today, Adams wasn't always like this. It wasn't until the local government and Department of Tourism prioritized food tourism that tapoy and Bugnay wine began to flourish. One resident who prides herself in her craft is Manang Ernani.
This is Nanay Ernani Pedronan. So she's one of the tapoy makers here in Adams, Ilocos Norte. So yun, I asked her if she's willing to sell her tapoy with us. And then there, she became our main source of our tapoy na. Kailan ba tayo nag-start? Siguro 2012 was the first one. That was for a Christmas bazaar. So yung first order ko sana ata sa inyo is 25 bottles.
25 bottles only.
24 bottles. Pero sold out na siya in 2 days.
Actually, ang tapoy wine, galing ito sa Mountain Province. Sila yung nagturo sa amin na gumawa ng tapoy, glutinous rice ito, malagkit, para maging wine soup. Si Lola Enga is taga Mountain Province, ay 1970s. Parang sila yung nauna na nag-migrate dito. Kasi kakaunti pa yung tao dito noon. Isang matanda yun na gustong ibahagi yung mga knowledge nila sa amin na kabataan kasi wala talagang interesado na gumawa nito. So nagpa-training sila kung sino yung nakasurvive. Ako na yung isa doon.
I first experienced tapoy actually in one of my tita's wedding anniversaries in Kiangan. So when there's a wedding celebration, the whole town really gets into it. Instead of beer, they give you tapoy in 4 canto bottles. So ako, before, I didn't know what tapoy was. I got the bottle. Yun, siguro mga 4 na bote ako. So the next day, wasak ako. Adams is very important to us kasi they're actually our inspiration. We realize kasi na these winemakers, hidden up all the way in the mountains, they actually produce world-class product. Could be comparable to, let's say, how popular sake is in Japan or soju in Korea. It's artisanal, it's traditional, you're keeping the culture of the Filipinos alive. But our name is really inspired by these winemakers that we work with. Okay, so for Nanay Ernani, specifically provide the bottles for her since we wanted to also look very different and marketable, so to speak. So we send the bottles to her here in Adams, then they finish or they bottle the tapuy for us, and then they bring it back to Manila. And this is where we finish by labeling the bottle.
Ito yung bungkitan na tawag na malagkit. Siyempre kami ang nagtatanim dito. Lahat ng ginagawa ko, sarili po namin tanim. Siyempre huhugasan ito. Ang katas nito pag na-ferment na is 6 liters, ay parang normal na bigas na kakainin. Hantayin hanggang maluto siya. After na nailagay natin dito, ihahaluan natin siya ng traditional yeast. Ito yung tawag namin ay bubod. Ito yeast kasi ito para ma-decompose siya, para magtubig. Ang bubod, yung traditional yeast kasi bubod is mas maganda para sa tapoy kasi mas matubig ito. I-compare mo sa mga wine yeast. So, i-sprinkle ko na dito. Pabalik na rin para lahat ng parte ng rice nalagyan siya. After mixing, ilagay na lang sa lalagyan sa isang timba kung siya yung meron kasi basta malinis na lalagyan and then hindi pinapasukan ng hangin. Pagkatapos kong ilagay dito sa may fermentation area, lalagyan ko ito ng label. Ayan, 6 months ito. Pwede na natin itong buksan. So, dito pa lang na-filter na siya. Lahat filtered.
While the steps seem straightforward, let's quickly go over how tapoy compares with other more sought-after rice beverages that also originate in Asia, makgeolli and sake. While the process seems straightforward, let's go over how tapoy compares with makgeolli and sake. To begin, they all start with rice. Traditionally, tapoy is made with malakit or long-grain glutinous rice, with heirloom varieties such as balatinao, kintaman, tinawon, and bonggitan rice from the Cordillera region. Because these varieties are often difficult to obtain, a mixture of other rice is often substituted. So how does this humble rice grain turn into alcohol? Through a natural process known as alcoholic fermentation, or when yeast converts sugars into alcohol. The simplest example of this is grape or fruit wine. Fruits are full of natural sugars for the yeast to turn into alcohol, and this is known as a single-step fermentation. Rice, however, needs the help of other microbes like mold to first break it down and make simple sugars available. This additional step is known as saccharification. It's what separates tapoy, makgeolli, and sake from fruit wine and also happens at the same time as alcoholic fermentation. Now, you're probably wondering, where on earth do these microorganisms come from in fermentation? Enter the starter, also known as a mother, a prepared mixture of microbes used to kickstart the fermentation process. Tapoy uses bubod, a close cousin to nuruk. Both have all the necessary molds, bacteria, and yeasts to carry out saccharification and alcoholic fermentation simultaneously. The beauty of tapoy and makgeolli is that they are spontaneous creations, influenced by wild microorganisms present in the ingredients and surroundings. But can relying on wild microbes be unpredictable? Sure, yet it's this super diverse microbial makeup that can bring tremendous flavor to the brew. So while the key in wild ferments is balancing flavors, mastery in sake revolves around a more controlled fermentation process, using carefully selected yeast strains and isolated molds like koji to bring out distinct flavor profiles. The final products vary in color, taste, and texture, but each brings its own distinct flair to the world of brewing.
We're naming the bottle Pedronan Tapoy kasi I want to respect her process. Parang it's still her product, it's her way of making tapoy.
Ito meron tayong bagong hangong tapoy. Pwede itong kainin.
When was this made po?
Ito yung kagagawa ko lang ng June 2022. So ito yung mga 6 na buwan na siya.
So, yeah.
So unfiltered din ito po. Pero wala yung solids. Okay. Thank you.
5 o'clock.
Cheers. Creamy. It's very, very creamy.
Yeah.
A little bit thicker.
Yeah.
So this one, no filter. Tapos ito po, 3 times is filtered. Okay. Yeah, I do taste. It's a bit cleaner and a little bit lighter for me, but the sweetness is still there.
Etong tapoy na to, gawa ko pa to noong 2009. This is the oldest wine ever. Ito yung stock ko pero binuksan ko na lang para matikman kung anong lasa nung matandang tapoy.
13 years. Yeah. Whoa, the aroma is a lot deeper.
It has a stronger smell.
Definitely wakes you up more.
Sagay.
Sagay. Oh, actually, it smells very strong, but when you drink it, it's not as strong as the smell.
Yeah, it has a smooth consistency.
Smoother. It's like mellowed out over the years.
Yeah.
It goes down a little bit smoother. So Ken, I know that you bottled new tapoy. Can you show us which one you have?
Here. So these are the new Pedronan Tapoy bottles. The design, it's really inspired by Solia patterns, so you can see there. So it's a bit texturized. Yeah. And of course the name is Pedronan because of course this is her last name. And her family is Tapoy. So there.
It's very beautiful, yeah. It's very modern. I think it's something that's very appealing nowadays. There is so much to learn from Adams. I see Manang Ernani and the many fruit winemakers here key to energizing a renaissance in wine beyond conventional grape standards. With the right infrastructure and support, their collective efforts shout a message. Philippine beverages can bloom beyond the household.
My dream is lang to have tapoy as one of those choices that you have when you have a party at home. Instead of saying, "Uy, I have a scotch with me." But I want you to say na, "Uy, bro, let's drink tapoy. I have this new tapoy from Baguio. Let's try it." That's my goal, or that's our dream.
And if you've made it this far, congratulations, hats off to you. I just want to say thank you so much for watching all the videos that we put out. It's a lot of work from the team, and everyone in the team is extremely grateful, and we get so excited when we see people sharing our videos or kind of commenting and just talking about it. It's really the reason why we put it out there. It's just to kind of, like I said in the beginning, keep the conversation about Filipino food going both locally and globally. I'm actually shooting this for any of the OGs out there in the Melbourne kitchen in Australia, where I shot a lot of our lockdown YouTube videos, and during that time it was extremely humbling, and that's where kind of like the first thoughts about creating feature came to be. So I thought it'd be a great place to kind of tie everything up. Thank you again for the whole feature community, Fat Kid Inside Studios community, for watching and what we put out. It really warms our heart to see that there are people who love what we do as much as we do, and that is the whole point of this community. So thanks again, Happy New Year, and we'll see you in 2024. We have such great plans, such great videos, so many great series that we're about to take on, and yeah, come along for the journey. Peace out.